Welcome back from the break. This is now Books and Blogs, and this morning we are so honored, totally honored to have on set today Muthoni Garland, who many of you know for this wonderful book for which she was nominated for the 2006 Kane Prize, Tracking the Scent of My Mother. When I say many of you, I mean people in my generation. But we are so happy to have you on the show this morning. Karibu sana. This is all your publications, and I know you didn't carry everything. This was just a little bit of it.
Yes.
But I will start from Story Moja.
Yes.
What inspired your foray into Story Moja?
Gosh, change of life, I guess. When I was 40, I used to work in the corporate world in market research and had worked in advertising and then in research companies. And then my husband was posted to Cairo. And I thought, let me try this housewife maneno. And very quickly realized I didn't really enjoy it, so I took online writing classes. In those days, you know, it was quite a new sort of area, the internet I mean, so so I remember I got my first, you know, this was 1999, I got my first laptop and I started experimenting with writing online, and then discovered a group on a site called Zoetrope that a lot of people my generation, or people who started writing at that time, used to belong to. And it's a critique circle. So it's just a site that you write and then send to, and then people can critique you and you critique others. And through that I met the most amazing people. I met online, believe it or not, Chimamanda Adichie in that time would trade stories. I met Binyavanga, who I didn't actually know until 4 years later. I met Pili Kahora, Pasalelo, Raznawara, you know, all these really, Ivona War, you know, all these writers, you know, that were sort of in that period just beginning to find their literary feet.
Yeah.
And was very taken then when Binya then won the Kane Prize. And I couldn't believe that he would then use that money to start a literary journal.
Yeah.
And he got us all together and said, okay, let's do this. So I became one of the founder members of Kwani. During one of the meetings at Kwani, I was just being difficult, you know, asking hard questions around why are we so reliant on funding from abroad? You know, why can't we be more commercially oriented and make money selling books?
Right.
In fact, we'd done some research and people had told us, using University of Nairobi, and people had told us, oh, you know what Kenyans want in books is they've got to be short, they've got to be small, and they've got to be low cost because people don't have a lot of money, and they've got to be as far away from textbooks as possible. So it's the normal stories that, you know, people talk about, like when they go out with their friends or they go to a bar or whatever. And they were saying if you had books like those, people would buy them. In fact, they'd read them in mathris and all that. Anyway, so the research came back and I said, why can't we publish these books, you know? And Binya said, you think it's so easy, eh? So you do it. And literally that's how Story Moja came about. Because, yes, I was arrogant enough to think, well, you clearly don't have any commercial, you know, sense. I do, you know, I've worked in the corporate world. So with 4 other writers who are also sort of Kwani founder members, we then started Story Moja and published the first 2 books. And one was Tracking the Scent, which was shortlisted the year that we started, and shortlisted for the Kane. And then there was a little book by Sunny Bindra on customer service, so a business book, which of course we know is a big category in Kenya. So we thought between the 2 of them, we're going to make a lot of money, and we'll use that money to, you know, to fund Story Moja and grow the company.
Yeah.
But what actually happened is we were really arrogant and foolish. I mean, really, we had no idea what we were doing. None of us came from a publishing background. You know, we made all the classic mistakes. If you look at this, I remember the young man who came in to our office and he said, I can design it for you. And I said, okay. And he said, and he persuaded me, you know, use Comic Sans, you know, which of course you'll never find a grown-up book at Comic Sans, but now it's... And then we printed 20,000 copies, which I mean, yeah, really. It's just
20K.
now I know. Yeah, but it was based on simple mathematics that kind of went, well, when you do market research, what percentage of people are A, B, like so many million. And then of that, what percentage have disposable income of, say, 10,000 shillings a month? So, okay, let's work out. We'll print only for 1% of those. Anyway, so it came up with 20,000. Needless to say, at least 10,000 trackings and another 10,000 Crown Your Customers are in my garage at home. And I'm actually looking for creative ways to kind of use them as promotional items or give them away or, so that's how it started.
My goodness.
So within a year, we were completely broke and most of the shareholders jumped ship. Like, Muthoni, we are not putting money in for you to learn, how to run a publishing house, this how to, So no, we remained two of us. And, but the great thing about that, there is always silver lining, is it forces you to really think carefully why you're doing it. So before that, it was more sort of because I can.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I realized what it was that was really motivating me to want to be in this world, which I had been scared of for so long. And I started thinking what it was, and just long story short, I realized my mission in this world, the legacy I want to leave, the reason I'm here, my purpose, is to get a book in every hand. I feel passionately about it because I grew up, deep rural. And people say, but you have such excellent facility with the English language. You're articulate, you're this, that, and the other. I say, because I had the kind of father who used to say, that is called library. From there to there, you read. And every book, from when I was like this, every book report.
Every book you read, give a report.
And I grew up in the middle of a forest in Dodori where there was, literally, I'm not making this up. And it was the DC's, the house that used to belong to the DC. And he had left behind, this colonial DC, he had left behind all these books on, I don't know, horse plowing in Derbyshire, I don't know what. And my father would say, book reports. No, every book you write a book report. It doesn't matter what the book is. You have to read every book, and I'd be in tears. But after some time, you get into the culture, and I started loving it. And now I literally cannot sleep without reading.
So your passion for reading and writing started from when you were young.
Yes, and I saw what it did for me.
Yeah.
And so that's my testimony.
Yeah, it's powerful.
That's my hallelujah.
Amen to that. So you want to have a book in every hand.
Yes.
That's your life purpose.
Yes.
How successful have you been with that so far? What are some of your achievements?
Well, the things that I'm very proud that we've done. So as Story Mojo, we've done a vast range of things. The best known is probably the festival, which grew from sort of the Story Mojo Festival. If you look back when it was the Nyama Choma Fiesta in 2008, and there you're calling every friend, please come. If you love me, please, I beg, just come, show up, support us. And then we call the Nyama Choma Fiesta, try and fool people. It's about Nyama, and then we unleash Oyunga Parlor, and all these very cool guys who like to read, on the audience, and Sonny Bindra, and all these. And then, but by 2015, where we're getting 6,000 people coming to the festival. Now that's huge in terms of sort of profiling writers, showing writers can be celebrities, showing the range of writing available across the country, nurturing those who do like to write but have felt isolated, have not been in contact with others, don't know them. So now that provided that opportunity. But the thing I'm proudest when I look at the festival is really what we're doing with children. So of those 6,000, 4,000 are children of various ages. So it's getting them engrossed, them to get back in touch with love of storytelling, get back in touch with, theater, drama, the arts, all these things that have been deprived. Hopefully the new curriculum will bring them back in. but you know, the things that nurture creativity, which more than ever is becoming so important as we transition from the knowledge age to the conceptual age. You know, you need creativity, you need empathy, you need, you know, innovation, those sort of things. And if you're not nurturing those genes from when you're young, then there's a problem, you know? And I love it when these young people, they meet filmmakers, they meet artists from different countries, they meet writers who've been recognized on the world stage, you know, and I tell you, the writers coming out of Africa at the moment, best in the world. Best, I don't know what it is, you know. Nigerians, kwanza, me, I don't know what waters they're drinking. I am so jealous of them. They are producing the most ridiculous books. Ridiculous. I mean, really, really.
Give me a few names.
Okay, I'd say if you're into sort of fantasy fiction, which is huge, science fiction, Nenedi Okorofo, Who Fears Death, Binti, wow, just amazing. And then if I was to put, you know, sort of top 10 list of writers that you must read if you're an African and you're in high school and beyond, you know, then you'd have to include people like Bettina Gappa, Elegy for Easterly, which is a short story collection. You have to include people like, I'm trying to go from north, Alain Mabanku, who wrote Broken Glass. He's a Congolese writer, absolutely amazing. You have to include people like Binyavanga. If you haven't read One Day I'll Write About This Place, I mean, don't call yourself a reader. Or Yvonne Awar's Dust, you know, really intelligent. It's not that easy to access, but my God, it's so rewarding when you do. You have to read people like Doreen Bayingana. She's just producing the most gorgeous stories. Like if you haven't read the Tropical Fish collection, amazing. That's Uganda. Then and then there's the Ugandan who won the Kwani Manuscript Prize. And she wrote a book called Chintu. It's actually pronounced Chintu, but it's written Kintu.
Because the Uganda K is a chi.
It's a chi. Then if you go now into West Africa, where I'm just raving, there's a guy called Nathan John, and he's written a book that I think should be mandatory reading if you really want to sort of begin to understand what's going on in the north of the country, where they're having all the trouble with Boko Haram and, you know, and terrorism and all that. I think Nathan John is just doing an amazing job. So he's got a book called Born on a Tuesday. And then there's Season of Crimson Blossoms by another Nigerian called Abubakar, which is an affair between this 58-year-old woman, 55-year-old woman.
So you've mentioned only two Kenyans, Binya and Yvonne.
Well, they're my favorite. Let me put it that way. It's not that they're not
so like
others, but I'm saying within that sort of, if I was to say
top 10.
My top 10, those are the ones I would definitely include. Now, I've deliberately left out, you know, the old canon. Not because I don't think they're good, but more to do with, I meet a lot of young people who think literature stopped when, you know, in 1950. That if it's not about colonialism, then it's not literature or something. So nowadays I've gotten used to sort of saying, there's so much more. Go read Ghana Must Go, Bataille Selassie. You know, go read.
There's a lot.
There's a woman from Cameroon who just got $1 million advance for her book. It's called Behold the Dreamers. In advance, you get $1 million. Even before, yes. There's another one that should really be winning all the, you know, literary prizes. It's called Homegoing.
So Africa is rising with...
No Violet Bulawayo. We need new names. First time an African woman shortlisted for the Booker Prize. And we're not celebrating that, you know.
Because we don't know it, by the way. There has to be lots of noise made now. By people like yourself when you sit on this platform and any other platform that you know you appear on, where you say there's a lot to celebrate in this world.
There's a lot. Things are changing. More people are reading. Like now, if you want to get African books, there's a young man called Magunga. You just go Magunga online and you can order any African book and he'll deliver it to you.
Magunga online? In Kenya?
It's called Magunga.
Wow.
So things are changing. There's a new interest, I think. You know, there's the Jalada Collective. You know, they're writing literary fiction, young people. There's Nkare that I just discovered the other day. You know, even younger. You know, So I think anyway, so coming back to the Story Moja Festival, what we try and do is bring some of this excitement into Kenya and mix it up.
We are here, and it's not even a festival, we're just talking about it. So I can imagine just when
and mix it up. But the festival is only, like it's an annual festival. I mean, this year we had it in Ghana, but we're bringing it back to Nairobi next year. But the other sort of work that we really do all the time is we start libraries in primary schools.
Talk about that.
So the project is called Start a Library, and we've been running it for 4 years. And to date, have started 71 libraries. 71
in
libraries.
Kenya.
In fact, the latest was 2 weeks ago at Bora Academy, which is almost next door to Safaricom, but it's a very poor government school, right?
Wayaki.
Yeah, it's just off Wayaki, but almost all the kids come from Kangemi or whatever. It's a bit of, it's like when you go to Loresho, you think beautiful area, but the primary school is a government school, so nobody who lives in Loresho actually takes their kids there. It's so it's attended by kids from from the slums that are closest, like that. And anyway, so our latest was Bora Academy. We are doing that as part of a campaign that we call the Chela campaign. You may have heard of that.
Yes.
That's funded by the Aga Khan Foundation. So we started off with with Kitui.
Okay.
And we're about to start 30 libraries in Makueni. In fact, our patron, Auma Obama, will be the guest of honor at the launch. So we're going to be celebrating with her, and hopefully that will happen at the end of November. The next steps is to put together the reading programs. We've started by training teachers how to be librarians, training student librarians, and encouraging the schools that we give libraries to start read aloud clubs, so that children get to hear it actually, the words actually said out loud.
A read aloud club.
It's a read aloud club.
Okay.
So the kids read aloud together, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
We're hoping that by this time next year, we'll probably be around 200 libraries, maybe 250 libraries. If we get more partners, obviously we appeal to the public, for God's sake,
like
take a book, go buy a book for children, take it into the school and read with the children. Volunteer your time at a primary school, especially the less well-off, where low-income children are going to. Because they don't get enough adult endorsement of the reading culture, so they're not exposed to it. Otherwise, get in touch with us at Story Moja Africa, and we will, we will put you in touch.
Your website, like people who want to be a part of this program.
Yes. We partner a lot of corporates. So if as a corporate entity you want your CSR to be about starting a library, we'll come and give you the expertise you need, and arrange for you to visit the school, to donate the books, to access the books, to donate them, to train the teachers, so that it's not just you've left books and now, they're ignored within the system, etc.
So what if I'm coming, I want to just come as an individual, like I'm not a corporate, it's just me, Catherine, watching this program, and wow, I want to donate maybe 10 books from my bookshelf at home. Where can I bring those to?
Well, get in touch with us at Story Moja. Depending on, we donate to primary schools, so the books have to be age appropriate.
Okay.
And we tend to collect enough books to form a library before we actually go to a school. So we won't take just 10 books to the library. We'll wait until Catherine and Jane and whoever, and then we put those books together. Yeah. And we encourage, get your friends together as well, so that we have a substantial number, enough number.
Like
because
what
most schools, ideally we say 1,000.
1,000.
But it depends. There's some smaller schools that we've worked with where we've given less than 1,000 books.
Okay.
So we work with you. So what we've done is we've got a mapping exercise where we've mapped out pre-installation inspections. So we've mapped out where the schools are located, how many students they have, what kind of facilities they've got. When we talk about libraries, we don't talk about buildings. It's books.
Yes, it's books.
Books and reading programs. So do they have shelves? Are they able to, secure? Is it a secure storage? Otherwise the books might disappear. Do they have training? What sort of training do they need? So we've done all that pre-installation mapping. So when we get inquiries from people, what we do is try and arrange some kind of training. When I say training, maybe it sounds very long. It's quite short, but it's something to expose the donor to what the reality is and what would make the biggest impact. And sometimes we've had individuals who then develop a relationship with the school, and they'll go back and read with kids and go back and donate further books. You know, they've been those. Others just want to come for the one-off, and they'll say, can you come, you know, I want to come for the celebration.
Yes.
You know, others want to give money, you know, and say, buy this number of books for, you know, for this particular school. And we're happy to do that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that's been a huge part.
Yeah.
But we also run workshops.
Yeah.
I mean, book in every hand takes so many things. We run lots of writing workshops. We work with both child authors and adult authors.
Yeah, like you have this child author.
Yes.
11-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Published him when he was 11. He wrote it when he was 11.
11.
Actually, we published him when he was 12. It took a year to, you know, working with him on the manuscript. But
so now you're on to.
so then on to careers. So
Yeah.
what happened is, because we spend a lot of time in schools, and we publish books for both primary schools and secondary schools. So I should say, Story Moja, by the way, is a publishing company.
Yes, it
the
is.
core business, yeah? So we do festivals, start a library, and now careers, but we're a publishing company.
Yes.
So we're always hungry to find where's the need. And in secondary school, it hits you like a jackhammer. It really does. It just drills your head, the lack of career information. And I think it is ridiculous, because if you want to motivate people, then at least show them where all this work they're putting in, where might it head them? Where might it help them head to?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What, you know, so that it adds some meaning to this, why you need to pass geography or whatever subject it is. So so I spent a lot of time in secondary schools talking to career masters who I discovered actually are not particularly trained. They tend to be the math teacher who is told, this term you're in charge of careers, or geography teacher, or whoever.
Okay.
Then I ask them, so how many careers do you know? And they'll tell you, oh, I know this career, and usually it's about 10 careers. And so that's it. Yeah, they might think up, you know, a few more. Done the same exercise with students, and even in Alliance and these type of schools, usually they'll come up with maybe 20, 23 careers, something like that. And I'll say, but there are hundreds of careers that we've produced, and we've got a career directory.
Okay.
But then we realize it's not just awareness of careers, it's also, how do you decide, Catherine, which career is right for you?
Yes.
So it's understanding who you are, and then you discover kids just don't know themselves. Nobody asks them to know themselves. You know, they don't know how to go about knowing themselves. So we then started thinking, well, can we develop some psychometrics? Because if you're lucky enough, again, upmarket, you know how Kenya is a dichotomy of rich poor. Eh? So if you're on this side, you know, the rich side, you can afford to go online and spend as much time as you like doing psychometrics online to figure out who you are and which careers, therefore, you're more aligned
Suitable
to.
for you, yeah.
But if you're not, you are really limited. Maybe the whole school has got only a few computers that are used only during computer lesson time, and it's very restrictive. And then maybe online, it's hard to get online because the internet is down, electricity, sijui what, you know. So we said, why don't we develop the workbook? So that's what this is. So it's a workbook that looks at your, you know, who are you? What are your values, your personality, your interest, your skills, your hobbies, your talents?
What do you enjoy?
And then we group them into 6 different groups.
So let's conclude. And,
Yes.
And you're doing so many things. I don't even know like how to just harness all of that. It becomes very difficult to close this conversation.
Yes.
But what do you want to see, especially because you're very passionate with education, and yes, with that age group of children, what are your hopes for that generation, for the future?
All I know is something has to change in Kenya. We must become a more inclusive society. We've got to stop ignoring the needs of those who are not, you know, are not well off. Those ones that we say are on the poverty line, that 50%, and it's a significant number. We've got to stop just doing lip service and saying, okay, now we're paying teachers better, there are more of them in school. Oh, Gava has got a curriculum review going on. We've got to get to the roots of the problem, that these kids are going into school, but they're not learning. They're not learning. And they're not learning because they don't understand the language of learning. Now, you can have political discussions around which subject, you know, should we learn in Swahili, in English? It really doesn't matter because they're not doing well in Kiswahili either, you know? They're not learning because they're not being given the materials that would help them learn the language. For God's sake, I tell parents, it is not difficult to give 20 minutes a day to your child to read with them. Read with them. It is not difficult if you're a teacher in a school. Appeal to the, to parents, everyone, just buy one book, a different book. And then you have a library in that school, and then make sure you allow that library period to be about reading. In fact, let them read aloud,
Yeah.
You will be surprised. I was in, we've done some work with High Ridge Primary just to test this, to see what is happening to the grades of the kids. Not from doing more math or more geography or more whatever, just from reading more books. And it's amazing, the results, which I would like the head teacher to actually tell you herself. I would hate to be the one to tell you. But their grades are going up as a result of just understanding the language better. Because you can't pass math if you don't understand the question. And that's the problem. You go from school to school and you talk to these kids and they truly just don't understand what you're saying. It's not that they're thick, because the minute you switch code, so switch into whatever language they're comfortable in. If you're Kikuyu, talk to them in Kikuyu. If they're Luo, talk to them in Luo. If they're Luhia, whatever. Then suddenly you're having a real conversation. You're saying, these kids are bright. Language is a barrier. And the only way it can stop being a barrier is if we provide them with the storybooks, so that they really, because you get more words in storybooks than any other, not television, not radio, not children's programs, not conversation, it's in the book. It's in the book.
I love
and for this generation, if I just want to, I want to end with this, it's even more critical. Because, I grew up in the industrial age kando, just put it aside, it's over. Then we came up with the knowledge age and we think, the knowledge age is about getting information, so it's important to get information. Great, but now we're moving into the conceptual age, which is about making sense of that information, which means you not only need to know the language, you now have to know it at quite a deep level to be able to make sense, to be able to analyze it. So critical thinking, creativity, those sort of things. So if you think about Facebook is really a conceptual age, sort of a product. Within 7 years, the guy, Zuckerberg, came up with a company that within 7 years is as big as the GDP of Kenya. Is it that we can't don't we have software engineers? Is it that we don't have the people to do it? Of course we have the know-how, the technical know-how. But we don't have that spark of creativity. It's been dampened. That thing that gives us the edge that says, well, what if you juxtapose these two ideas? Let's go beyond what we normally think about and think about it differently. And if you're in the conceptual age, it's about thinking about others, solving solutions for others, So how do you get in touch with that if you're not really even understanding
it in the first place?
If the language is a basic barrier. So I tell people, read.
Read. And parents, read with your children.
Parents, please, read with your children. Teachers, please, don't look at storybooks and say waste of time or it's better to spend on textbooks, etc. I'll take anybody's challenge that says if a child reads 26 books a year, minimum, they will do better. Storybooks, they will do better in school than if they don't.
I am so happy to have had this conversation today.
I am too.
It gets better every week, but man, you just take that cherry on the cake. It was phenomenal, and I know we'll do this again. But thank you so much for coming today.
No, thank you.
That's what Thursday is about. Pure inspiration. And today, this week has been awesome, amazing, phenomenal with Muthoni Garland. Phenomenal woman. So happy to have had her today. After the break, we have Restaurant of the Week. Don't go too far. Let's find out what the other restaurant is all about.